day. Every day will be Friday, no. We got just to celebrate, oh. Like saying I'm your party, no. My baby in one day. Breakfast on the jet, you know. Cruising, that's we jet, oh. That day, not today, you know. Big things are happening now. More this, more that, more grace, oh. More cash, more babes, oh. More cars.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Nzali. And of course, this is Nzali Takes Africa. If this is your first time here, go ahead in advance because I know you're going to like what you're seeing. I know you're going to like what you're hearing. Go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Also, share it out with your family and friends. At this channel, basically what we do here is we talk about people who want to live, work, or play on the African continent, specifically looking at millennial women who are trying to do something different, trying to live outside of the box, trying to see what else is out there. You know, all the girlies who like to get stamps in their passports, like to experience different cultures. If that sounds like you, then this is definitely the place that you want to be. Now, we are back, y'all. If you have been following me over the last few days, then you know that I'm coming live and direct from Nairobi, Kenya, which is in East Africa. And I know some of you are like, Nzali, we know you for being in Ghana. Okay, we know you for being the pro Ghana, pro West Africa girly. And so, what in the world are you doing in Nairobi? No worries. I am in Nairobi, Kenya to do a scouting trip. As I explained a few days ago during my live, you know, I've been in Ghana for 8 years. I've been on the continent of Africa for 10 years. And I'm just like, 8 years is quite a long time, right? So what else is there to offer? What else is there to blah, blah, blah. Excuse me, y'all. What else could be offered to me on the African continent? I've never been into East Africa, so I decided to come. And I'm going to do a scouting trip. So I am your eyes and ears on the ground. I will be here for 2 weeks. During that 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing just some day-to-day tasks so you can feel like you're here. What would it feel like to live here? I'm going to be doing some cost of living inquiries just to see what does it take to live here? How much will it cost to live here? I'm going to be looking at some apartments so that you and I can know what it costs to have great accommodation. I'm going to be giving you my reviews of certain events that I'm going to go to, as well as just having some fun and doing some like touristy things. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, again, make sure that you like the video. Go ahead and subscribe to follow the journey. So this particular video, I am literally coming to you all to talk about my first 48 hours. I have been in Kenya for 2 days now. I've been in the city of Nairobi for 2 days, and I want to just share my first take or my first impressions being here for 48 hours, what I've seen, what I've experienced, how is it in comparison to some other places that I've been. And I just want to preface y'all by saying I'm going to be throwing up some of my video footage that I've taken while I've been here. You know, I've been on my tourist vlogger tips, so you're going to get a lot of that as well. So the first thing was when I arrived in Nairobi. Of course, I arrived in the airport, and I'm just going to show y'all like some clips of that. Let me pull that up really quickly. It was a really good experience, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. So let me pull that up for y'all. All right, y'all. So y'all can see I arrived in the airport. It wasn't really that busy that day. It was really easy for me to get transportation because my Airbnb host actually also added on airport pickup. So this is the guy, our driver, Cyrus. He had a big car. What I noticed immediately is that they drive on the right-hand side, which is similar to what it was when I was in South Africa. But it always makes me look like I'm stupid because I'm always going to the wrong side. But nonetheless, it was very green, but also very city-like. So where we are here is on this like expressway where you pay a toll. And this is like the way that you beat traffic. So if you've ever researched Nairobi, people talk about the traffic a lot. And so what I learned was that this new expressway, leads from the airport into the city, and it's a way to kind of cut out on the traffic. So as you can see, Nairobi is quite busy. It's very city-like, very metropolitan. What I did like was that it was still kind of green. When we arrived at our Airbnb, which is quite common here, it was a really tall, like apartment complex, very modern, very like up to date, something you would find in like any Western country. And I really like the Airbnb. This is a 1 bedroom. So it came fully equipped with the kitchen stuff. You have the living room. Wi-Fi was included in this Airbnb stay. Also, they had a little bit of the artwork, the African art. I saw these like black and white pictures a lot when we kind of went out and did a little shopping. It had a great view. I love big windows, so I love the way the apartment was set up. Although it was like a 1 bedroom, and it wasn't fully like cut off with a full wall, it just felt more really spacious. So I was really impressed by, just the modern finishings, the big windows, and just having like a lot of space, right? And it feeling like just a place that's easy and comfortable to be in. So yeah, that was me coming in, right? So immediately looking at the city life, just saying, okay, this feels like a place that's easy to get around. I also did take a Uber on that. I think it was my second day, the second going into the 48 hours. Taking Uber was easy. If you already have it on your phone, it'll automatically repopulate your location, and you can pay with cash. You also can pay with something called M-Pesa. So when I went to set up my SIM card, I also added money. M-Pesa, for those who are familiar with Ghana, what we would call mobile money, it's like you load money onto your phone, like your phone, and then you can use it, like you type in the person's number, you can make a payment, and it goes directly to their phone. So that was easy to set up. And just first off impression of coming into the city, it was smooth. At the airport, nobody was harassing me for a taxi. People were just kind of chilling about. It was easy to get from the airport to the accommodation. Immigration wasn't a hassle. I used my Ghanaian passport to come into Kenya, and Ghana has, I think it's like free visa, whatever, between Kenya. So that was easy. I didn't have to actually pay for the visa. What else? The roads were easy to get around, organized, all paved, and then the weather. So I like the weather. It's just very different from Accra. So like Accra is very hot, it's very humid, and here it's just like a nice spring day, like 70 degrees, and then it gets a little bit chillier in the evening. So you'll see a little bit later. I actually had a scarf when I went out later that evening, but the weather was great. Like blue skies, not too hot, not too cold. Even in the Airbnb, we don't have fans, we don't have air conditioning, you don't get hot. I have not busted sweat since I've been here. So I would say 10 out of 10 for my arrival into Nairobi. I'm just give them that. So shout out to y'all for that. So let's jump on in. What did I do in my first 48 hours? Of course, I arrived. I actually went live on my YouTube and Instagram, and I found out that one of my Howard alum is also here living in Nairobi. So she invited me out for the evening, and it was amazing. I got to go out. I got to get some local foods. Well, it wasn't exactly local, but it was African food, right? I got to go out on the town. I did some shopping, some grocery shopping, all that stuff. So I want to actually walk y'all through my first 48 hours because I did some real regular stuff. And so I do want to say, like, this trip is not for the tourists, right? The trip that I'm doing is like, I'm trying to figure out what it looks like for the everyday person to live here. So if you are a person who wants to just move to Nairobi, you're checking it out just the way I'm checking it out, then this is what this video is about. What does the everyday life look like? What does it look like to go grocery shopping? What does it look like to go out on the town? What does it look like to go for a walk in the morning? So go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. I'm always going to push that for y'all because we're about to get into this first 48 hours. Okay, so arrival was good to go. And then, as I said, I got to go to a West African restaurant here. It's called Chilling Fox. Is owned by I think she's South African and her husband is Liberian. And so they served a lot of different West African dishes, right? Chili Fox, there you go. It is in Kilimani. This is the owner there, Coco, with the jean jacket. Her husband has on the hat. Yeah, so it was just a real regular night out. And then after that, we went to a lovely spot called Location, which was a rooftop spot. They played great music. It was a good mixture of like Afro beats, some Black American music. They had shisha, they had drinks. That Cloud9, if y'all ever go to Location, only have one of the Cloud9. Okay, because that's a strong drink. It's like Long Island times 10, but it doesn't taste like it. Then we went to a place called Ibiza. Ibiza is like a nightclub, right? So they got the bottle service, the lights, people drinking, people dancing. What I did notice is that I didn't really hear any Kenya music, right? It was mostly uh, Afro beats and I'm a piano. A lot of I'm a piano and a lot of Afro beats. That was basically the gist. But as y'all can see here, a party is a party is a party. People like to have a good time in Nairobi. And then, of course, like I said, I did go to the grocery store because I wanted to price what it would be like. So, in West Africa, we have open markets, right? You go to the butcher in the open market, they'll slice the meat for you. What I noticed here, especially in the neighborhood that I'm in, which is Kilimani, is that they have a lot of shopping centers, a lot of malls, a lot of grocery stores. So it was really easy for us to go get our meats. We end up getting some of those spare ribs. And I'm gonna cook those today. We also went and just picked up some fresh produce. You can see some of the pricing here for that, for the tomatoes, onions. This is in Kenya shillings. And thankfully they had plantains, so I was able to grab some of that, hook up some West African dishes. Everything that you needed was really in this thing. Now you see this little green net here. This was so interesting to me because like in Nairobi, there's no plastic, right? So when you're getting your fresh produce, you don't have those little plastic bags. You actually have these little reusable like green baggies. And so you can see there everything that we got. You can see some prices there. It really wasn't that expensive. Let me go ahead. You see the price there. 8,963 shillings. I think that was the equivalent of maybe like $70. So with all of that food that I received, that was only $70, y'all. Okay. And we got some beef. We got pork square, what is it called? Pork spare ribs. We got all of our like foundational, West African things. We got onions, garlic, ginger, tomatoes, pepper, all of our seasonings. We got some breakfast stuff, eggs, pancake mix, fresh juice. Love the fresh juice. That's one of the things about Africa. We always have fresh juice. So we got mango juice, orange juice, and a mixed fruit juice. We got some biscuits, chips for snacks. I'm missing something. I can't remember, but nonetheless, going to the grocery store just to grab spaghetti, rice, some indomie for Indy. So all of that food was the equivalent of $70. I will say, like, as in comparison to Accra, it was a little bit cheaper because typically I could easily spend $100 to $150 going to a Melcom or like a grocery store. So the thing is, in Accra, if you go to the market, you can get it a little bit cheaper. But if you're going to a grocery store, it has a higher price point. So what I'm finding here in Nairobi is that going to the grocery store doesn't mean it is a higher, when I'm comparing it to Accra, it's not a higher price point. So to get that pricing in Accra, I would need to go to the local market. But I'm getting that here in Nairobi, going to a very nice, clean grocery store. So I thought that was pretty cool. The neighborhood that I'm in, Kilimani, is pretty walkable. On my Instagram yesterday, I actually took y'all on my morning walk, and it was very easy. Everywhere had sidewalks. It was safe. It was green. The temperature was great. And it was just kind of easy to get along. So I felt very safe. Well, I have been feeling very safe in the first 48 hours. It was okay to walk alone. The neighborhood here kind of reminds me of, let's see, it's kind of like Cantonments, except Cantonments isn't that walkable, right? This one is a walkable neighborhood, Kilimani, because even the club that you saw that I went to, the grocery store, all of those places I can walk to from my house. We actually walked from one of those restaurants back to the house the other day. I'll show you that one later. So it's pretty easy to get around. What else would I say? Infrastructure wise, it's just simple. All the roads are paved in the area that I'm in. It's simple. It's very organized. It definitely feels like a city. Let me think of a place in the States that is similar to this area that I'm in. Mm, okay, so if you are familiar with downtown Charlotte, like I grew up in First Ward. First Ward, how you can get out and you can walk to kind of like everything you need. That's what this is giving me. If you're from the DC area, I would say probably like, y'all know what American University is? That area. I think that's Foggy Bottom, if I'm not mistaken. But that area around American University is kind of giving that. Um, yeah, yeah. It's a city, but it's still green and it's well organized and it's structured. And also something that I really appreciate is that it is so clean. Like I have lived in some cities that are not clean, but it's very clean. Even like the sewer that we were walking past was like you could see through the bottom. You know, in the crowd, if you look in the gutter, you can't see the bottom. Okay, it's black. So I was like, oh, they actually are keeping this place pretty clean. And for it to be a like major city, I was very shocked by that. I will say I haven't had any of the local food yet, but I definitely will try. Like I said, my first night out, my Howard classmate took me to a restaurant, and that restaurant was owned by some West Africans. So uh, sorry, Kenya, but I will try some of the local food. Um, Chatting with people who are from here, I actually haven't met a lot of Kenyans yet. I have just met other Africans who live here and other Black Americans who live here. So I will try to make sure that I get some time in with the people who are actually from here. And yeah, like I said, I took the grocery shopping with me. I spent the equivalent about 70, 75 bucks. Wasn't too hard to do. I got there using Uber. I paid my Uber with mobile money. And so it's been a pretty smooth 48 hours. I did get an opportunity to go out with one of my fiance's friends. One of his friends actually has been living here for years. He went to university here. So we all went out to this restaurant called Fogo de Gaucho. It's similar to Fogo de Chao. So it's a Brazilian steakhouse. And it was really, really good. So I'll just show y'all really quickly. Let's see. There we go. Leaving the Airbnb. We were walking out to catch our Uber. So you see here, Fogo de Gaucho. You see that bouncy house. So what I've been told is that Kenya, Nairobi is very like child friendly. Shout out to my boo thing. There you go. And so oftentimes they have like a place where the kids can play when you go out to like restaurants and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. That lets you know that the family friendly environment. So as you want to build or expand your family, this would be a pretty good place to go to. The food there, like I said, it's a Brazilian steakhouse. So all types of meat, beef, pork, chicken, an amazing salad bar. Y'all know I love salad bars. So the salad bar was banging. I enjoyed that. What else? Beef, pork, chicken, turkey, lamb. What other? Oh, they actually had crocodile meat. And this was my first time trying crocodile. Even though I lived in Florida, I had never tried crocodile meat before. And so you see me there trying it. Um, I will say my face says it all. It was not my favorite. I don't know, it was something about the texture. This is my fiance and his homeboy. But yeah, we had a good time. And so I just want to say, my first 48 hours in Nairobi has been pretty smooth sailing. I actually did my first day of remote work here in Kenya. Um, I'll talk about that in another video because I'm going to do a whole segment about those who are like digital nomads and who work remotely, what that feels like working here when your clients are based out of the US. And so, like I said, it's still early on the trip. I'm going to be here for 2 weeks, but so far, Nairobi has been good to me. It has been easy to get in, do what I needed to do, set myself up comfortably. So that's a good sign. That is a good sign when you're scouting how much resistance, how much issues you're having just trying to do day-to-day things. And I've been here 2 days and I've been able to get around. I've been able to do very basic tasks without a lot of complications. So that's good. Fingers crossed that as we continue on this journey of scouting out Nairobi, that I continue to have these positive experiences. So next up, what's coming up next? We're going to be diving into what life actually costs. And not only what it costs, but what does it cost for a digital nomad, somebody who's working remotely in a space. So if you have lived in Nairobi, drop some tips in the comments for those of us who want to move here. Also, drop some tips in the comments about those of us who want to work remotely here. And if you're Team Accra or Team Nairobi, tell me why. You can drop that in the comments. And always, 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 always remember, I'm going to put it up on the screen again. Like the video. That's how you tell YouTube that you want to see more of this content. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on my adventures here in Nairobi. And then also go ahead and look at some other videos like those two. I have some videos about South Africa. Of course, I have videos about Ghana. And I also have 2 more countries that I'm going to debut. I've taken those trips. I just haven't shared it with y'all. So there's so much more to come from me and this channel. Again, if you are a millennial woman looking to live, work, or play on the African continent, this is the channel for you. And until next time, peace out, y'all. Love y'all. Bye.